You've got $3.7 million in a bank account your mother will never see. You're 31. Tonight you're driving back to the house you grew up in, Akron, Ohio. The freezer in the garage is still half full of meat from October. The thermostat was a moral argument every winter of your childhood. Your dad slept in his work clothes because the laundry cost too much. You haven't told them what you did. You don't know how. The freezer's still there. Part 1. The freezer. The house is on Grant Street in Akron. Yellow vinyl siding. A driveway that cracked 3 winters ago and nobody got around to fixing. The kitchen's 12 by 10. The garage is colder than the kitchen. That's where the second freezer lives. Your mom bought it at a Sears clearance in 1998 for $312. It's been running every day since. It hums at a frequency your dad can sleep through, but you can't. When she opens it, you can see 30 pounds of ground beef wrapped in white butcher paper, stacked like bricks. 3 pork loins, a turkey from last November, chicken thighs, and family packs of 48, everything labeled in her handwriting, with dates. You learn before you can spell that this freezer isn't about food, it's about insurance. Against what, nobody ever says out loud. Your dad, Gary, runs forklifts at Manor Industries, a steel parts warehouse off Route 8. He's worked there since 91. He makes $24.10 an hour. He hasn't taken a vacation longer than 3 days since you were born. His back went the year you turned 12. He kept working anyway. Your mom, Linda, works the 11 to 7 shift at Summa Health. She's worn the same brand of nursing shoe for 19 years. When she comes home in the morning, she doesn't sleep. She makes you breakfast. Then she sleeps till 2. You learn the smell of overtime before you learn the smell of money. The math of your house isn't a budget, it's a religion. Coupons folded in a binder in the kitchen drawer. Tinfoil, washed and reused. The light in the basement on a timer because your dad read somewhere that 10 cents a day adds up. 10 cents a day adds up to $36.50 a year. He's got the number memorized. He says it like a prayer. You're 7 years old the first time you understand your parents aren't poor by accident. They're poor on purpose. Every day, on purpose, because the alternative is something worse. Falling. The freezer is a wall against falling. You decide, somewhere in that kitchen, that you're going to build a different wall. You don't say it. You don't even know what it means yet. You just know the freezer isn't enough. Part 2. The Old Man's Truck. You're 25, 8 years out of high school. You skipped college because community tuition was $1,800 a semester, and even that felt like theft. You worked at Speedway. You worked at the Goodyear plant for 14 months until they laid off 31 of you on a Tuesday morning. You worked off the books for a guy who installed gutters. You learned to drive stick on a 97 Ford F250 that didn't have working AC. The freezer was still there. The freezer was always there. You meet Bill Holcomb in February of 2020. He's 67. He's been hauling junk out of basements and estate sales in Summit County for 31 years. One truck, one trailer, his own hands. His wife had a stroke in November. He can't keep going. He tells you this, leaning against the open tailgate, eating a sandwich his daughter packed him. You're loading scrap from a foreclosure on Hampton Road. You've worked for him 2 months by then. He pays you $16 an hour, cash, end of every Friday.
Kid, I'll sell you the whole thing for $48,000. Truck, trailer, the book of clients, the phone number people already know. I'll teach you the routes for 30 days. Then I'm done.
You've got $9,000 saved across 2 accounts. You stand in the cold a long time. You hear yourself say, "Give me a week." You don't have a week. You have the rest of your life. In the morning, you call the SBA. The woman on the phone asks,
What the business is?
you say, "It's a junk hauling company." She doesn't laugh. That's how you know. Part 3. The 14th Truck. Year 1. You sleep 4 hours a night. You answer the phone Bill gave you at 6 in the morning and at 10 at night. You drive the truck yourself for 14 months. You learn that probate attorneys are the actual customer, not the family on the curb. You learn that "we charge by the hour" is a lie. And we charge by the cubic yard is the truth. You take your gross to 190,000 in your first 12 months. After fuel, dump fees, insurance, and the SBA payment, you net 41. You sleep in a one-bedroom on Copley Road. You eat off-brand cereal twice a day. You don't tell your dad any of this. He thinks you're losing money. Year 2, you hire your first guy. His name's Marcus, 22, just out of a stint at the Lordstown plant. He works for 14 an hour and free lunch, and he never misses a day. You buy a second truck for 26,000. Net jumps to 94. Year 3, 4 trucks. You sign a contract with a regional property management firm, Belford Holdings, for monthly cleanouts of their foreclosure portfolio. 312,000 a year. You sit in their conference room in a button-up from Kohl's. You don't flinch when they slide the paper across the table. You stop telling people what you do at parties. They make a face and you don't have the energy to defend it. You realize being underestimated is a competitive advantage. You stop correcting people. Year 4, 9 trucks. The shop's on Maslin Road, a metal building you lease for $4,200 a month. You hire a dispatcher. You hire a bookkeeper. You stop driving routes entirely. Year 5, 12 trucks. You take home $740,000 in salary and distributions. You buy your mom a Toyota Camry. She cries. She thanks you in a voice you don't recognize. You go home and sit in your truck in the driveway a long time. Year 6. The 14th truck rolls in on a Wednesday in April. You stand in the lot and look at it. White wrap, black lettering. Holcomb Hauling, the name you never changed. You feel nothing. 2 weeks later, a guy named David Roos calls. He works for a private equity roll-up out of Cleveland. They're buying junk haulers across the Midwest. He asks if you'd consider an offer. You say, send me a number. Your hand is steady. Your stomach isn't. Part 4. The Wire. David Roos sends a letter of intent on a Thursday. 2 pages. The number at the top is 4.8 million. You read it 3 times in the lot behind the shop, leaning against the truck. The asphalt's hot. Somewhere a phone's ringing inside the building, and you let it ring. You hire a CPA. You hire an attorney. They charge you $40,000 combined, and they earn it. Due diligence takes 92 days. They want every invoice from year 1. They want Marcus's W-2. They want the lease on Massillon. They want the contract with Belford. You hand over your entire life in a Dropbox folder. You meet David twice. 48 years old, same gray Patagonia vest both times, drinks black coffee. He uses the word synergies without flinching. You decide he's neither honest nor dishonest. He's a function. The closing's on a Tuesday in October at his attorney's office on East 9th Street in Cleveland. You sign 47 pages. Your hand cramps on the 23rd. The lawyer asks if you want a glass of water. You say no. You sign the rest. The wire goes out at 2:17 in the afternoon. You watch the confirmation email come through on your phone in the parking garage. Funds received. You're standing next to a black Hyundai with a dented bumper. You refresh the bank app. The number's there. $3,746,218. You wait for something to happen inside your chest. Nothing happens. You expected something. A click. A weightlifting. A version of your dad's voice telling you you did it. None of it comes. You sit in your truck. You think about calling your dad. You picture him picking up. The cough first, then the yeah. And you picture yourself saying the number. You hear him go quiet on the other end. You hear the quiet lasting too long. You put the phone down. You drive back to Akron. The freeway's the same freeway. The radio's playing a song you've heard 1,000 times. You pass the Manor Industries sign at the exit, and you think about your dad loading pallets at this exact moment for $24.10 an hour. 40 hours this week. $12 after taxes for every hour he's bent his back today. Part 5. The Kitchen. You pull up on Grant Street at 6:15 on a Sunday. Your mom's made meatloaf. Same recipe she's used since you were 8. Ketchup glaze. Onions cut too fine on account of her arthritis. The kitchen still smells the way it's always smelled. Cleaning product and Folgers and old wood. Your dad pulls a Tupperware of frozen green beans from the garage freezer. The hum follows him into the kitchen and dies at the threshold. You sit at the same table you sat at every night of your childhood. Your dad says grace. He thanks God for the food and for the family, and he asks God to watch over Marcus's daughter, who's sick again. You didn't know Marcus's daughter was sick. You didn't know your dad knew Marcus. You eat in silence a while. Your mom asks how work is. You say fine. You ask about her shoulder. She says fine. The numbers in your phone, the numbers in your chest, the numbers sitting at the table with you, and nobody can see it. Your dad tells you the roof over the back porch is leaking again. He's been patching it with tar he bought at Lowe's. He says the patch will last another winter, he thinks. Your mom doesn't look up from her plate. You could pay for a new roof in the time it takes to chew. You could pay for the house. You could pay for every house on this street. You say nothing. You think about handing your dad a check at this table, and you watch the scene in your head, and you see him flinch. You see his shoulders go up the way they used to when the foreman called his name on the warehouse floor. You see him look at you like you've become something he doesn't recognize. You see your mom look at the floor. You realize for them, money's still a thing that takes more than it gives. Yours took more than you knew. You finish dinner. You wash your own plate. You drive back to your apartment in silence. The check stays in your phone. Art 6. The porch. You come back 2 weekends later. May. The maple at the edge of the yard's half green and half still bare. Your dad's on the porch in the wooden chair he's had since '96. One of the spindles is broken. He hasn't fixed it. He keeps the broken spindle under the chair in case he changes his mind. He's drinking a Coors Light from a can. He offers you one. You take it. You haven't drunk a Coors Light in 9 years. He says the leaves are coming in slow this year. He says the Indians played last night and they lost. He says Marcus's daughter's doing better. The antibiotics worked. He says it the way he says everything important. Flat, in the middle of something else. You sit beside him on the top step. You can smell the tar he used on the porch roof. It's holding. His hands are mottled from the cold. They look like your hands. He doesn't ask about your work. He's never asked about your work. You used to think it was because he didn't care. You understand now it was because he was afraid the answer'd be a place he couldn't follow you. He looks at you sideways and he says, "You turned out all right, didn't you?" He doesn't say it like a question. He says it like a thing he's allowing himself to say out loud for the first time. You don't answer. You drink the beer. You watch the maple do what maples do in May. You realize the only money your dad ever wanted from you was the kind you can't wire. He wanted you back. He never knew how to ask. Somewhere in Akron right now, a 7-year-old standing in a garage, watching his mom stack pork chops in a freezer she bought on sale in 1998. She's labeling each package with a marker. The garage is colder than the kitchen. He doesn't know the math she's running. He doesn't know what the freezer is for. He'll figure it out. Most of them do. The freezer hums. It always will.